A new terms of use update for MetaMask has sent shockwaves through the crypto industry, and I'm going to explain exactly why in today's show and the potential implications of the future of MetaMask and security in crypto. So we can start very simply by going to the MetaMask website and looking at their latest terms of use update, which was initiated in April. Now, in order to use MetaMask and continue to use the service as normal, you do need to accept this update in order to use the wallet as an extension on your browser or on your phone. Now, the part of the terms of use update that has got people talking is if we scroll down to section 4, which is the fees and payments section, and look at 4.3. It says taxes. Each party will be responsible as required under applicable law for identifying and paying all taxes other than governmental fees and charges and any penalties, interest, and other additions thereto that are imposed on that party upon with respect to the transactions and payments under this agreement. Listen to this. All fees payable by you are exclusive taxes otherwise noted. We reserve the right to withhold taxes where required. And it was this line of the terms of use agreement which had people panicking on Twitter and on YouTube, because this line, we reserve the right to withhold taxes where required, alludes to the fact that potentially MetaMask could work with government agencies in order to withhold taxes against users. And we saw a tweet by Ash Crypto set this into motion with 3,000 likes and 871 retweets, which underlined this reserve the right line. We also saw Aaron Bennett come out and say, so now MetaMask will freeze your wallet if the government says you didn't pay your taxes. Is this technically possible on their end? We also saw Manon say, MetaMask, correct me if I'm wrong, but how can you withhold the taxes in our wallet without having access to our private keys? And if you have our private keys, then why should I care to even use MetaMask over a centralized exchange? Am I seeing something out of context here? Well, ConsenSys came out and issued a statement which clarified the truth behind this terms of use update, and basically it boils down to a wording misconfusion that had people thinking that it could potentially lead to the government or the tax authorities freezing assets, when in reality it related purely to sales tax. But it's very interesting to look through their statement here to monitor their language when it comes to this update. So let's read it. We are aware of the tweets circulating with inaccurate information about ConsenSys terms of service. Let's clarify one thing up front. MetaMask does not collect taxes on crypto transactions, and we have not made any changes of our terms to do so. This claim is false. At ConsenSys, our goal is to make Web3 universally easy to use, access, and build upon through our suite of products. It's important to note that the terms referenced are not new. They apply to our products that are subject to sales tax. The tax section, so this is section 4, which is the section that's in question at the moment, of our terms of service, falls under fees and payment and is exclusively pertaining to products and paid plans offered by ConsenSys. For example, Infura, the RPC provider of MetaMask, has credit card developer subscriptions which include sales tax. Legal terminology can be complex, but it's crucial to emphasize that this section does not apply to MetaMask or any other products that don't involve sales tax. We believe in transparency and accuracy when it comes to sharing information with our users. And remember, this MetaMask controversy comes just a few months after they had an update to the Infura policy, which allows Infura to collect IP addresses. And that had some people worried about IP collection as well. And that's something, to be honest, to this date, I'm still very wary of. And that's one of the reasons why I use a VPN, because I don't want my IP being extracted by any company. Otherwise, what is the point of using a crypto wallet, right? If your IP is potentially on the line there. Also, it wasn't just ConsenSys that came out and dispelled the rumor relating to the taxes. It was also the top, some of the top Reddit accounts that posted. For example, this Mr. Literal account posted, this should be referring to sales tax and not capital tax. So when you buy anything online via your credit and debit card, different countries and states may have different regulation. We believe in transparency and accuracy when it comes to sharing information with our users, is what ConsenSys responded to that with. And John said, people, read before you FUD. MetaMask won't take taxes out of your wallet. ConsenSys offers many services, including paid Infura APIs and the terms to apply to all services. How can they even withhold taxes that you owe to the government? It's all about the taxes they need to pay to the government when offering the paid services. So if you guys don't know, MetaMask is obviously a free app to use, but there is paid services that Infura offers, and that is what the terms of updates is referring to. It's not referring to your normal MetaMask transactions. It's referring to services where they need to pay tax to the government, and that is usually included in the price you pay, such as a VAT tax if you're in America, for example. So what is my take on all of this situation? Well, it's that it's nothing really to worry about. If you were already using MetaMask, I wouldn't be panicking out of your MetaMask holdings right now. But it still does expose that a company like MetaMask is centralized, and they can continue to push out updates which change the terms of service. So in this instance, it was nothing major, and I hope it never becomes anything major, but we just do have to accept that when we are using a wallet like a MetaMask wallet, that they are legally able to change the terms of service. If you want to use that product, you'll need to abide by that. So I think it was a wake-up call to a lot of people that still is the case. But I mean, when you're using a product like MetaMask, you should be cognizant of that fact anyway. For me personally, I always will protect myself with a VPN. One, because of the inferior IP update that happened earlier in the year. I just wasn't that comfortable with sharing my IP. And two, even if they could somehow give the government data to withhold taxes, which by the way isn't part of this update, but even if this was true, then a VPN would protect you against being easily identifiable, for example. So you would have your wallet safe, and also safe from hackers, etc., etc. So look, it's not a foolproof measure, but I do think a VPN is just one solution if you're just a little bit worried about using MetaMask, and also diversification into other wallets, and always using a hardware wallet as well. So if you do want a NordVPN subscription, I believe it's the best VPN. There's a link in the description to an exclusive Crypto Banter deal. If you buy a NordVPN, you get extra months. It comes at a price of just $3.17 a month, and you get 4 extra months. Which is a 61% savings on the typical NordVPN package. So it's a huge saving if you want to protect yourself online and basically, get some sleep at night. Use a VPN. I'm pretty sure most of you already have one, but if you aren't, what are you doing? There's a link in the description to sign up to NordVPN, and you will qualify for that big discount as well. Now, unfortunately, the whole MetaMask thing wasn't the only instance of centralization concerns in Twitter over the past few weeks. I think the much bigger story, aside from MetaMask, has been the Ledger controversy. And the reason why the Ledger controversy has been so huge is essentially because they pushed a new product update, which was essentially allowing the offering of a service which allows Ledger to recover your seed phrase if you lost it. So, a retail-based product, but that highlighted Ledger's ability to potentially access user seed phrase data. So it basically made people question the authenticity of using a hardware wallet like Ledger if they could just access your data. So that whole controversy, I'm not going to get into it because you guys have probably seen a lot of it on Twitter, but I will give you my opinion. Basically started on Reddit like 7 days ago, and a lot of people were very worried about the update to their terms of service, which was specifically regarding the Ledger product offering, the subscription service, which allows them the ability to back up your seed phrase, essentially, for people that don't want to worry about storing their own seed phrase. Now, Ledger support had an absolute PR disaster because there were conflicting reports coming from Ledger themselves and people at Ledger. Basically, Twitter was an open forum, an open breeding ground for discussion about this issue, and they didn't handle it right. When there was backlash, whether the backlash was justified or not is another question, they handled it with very broad wording, which didn't really give people the answers that they were looking for. So Ledger support said, they tweeted, technically speaking, it isn't always has been possible to write firmware that facilitates key extraction. I mean, if you're holding a Ledger, do you want to hear something like that? You've always trusted Ledger not to deploy such firmware, whether you knew it or not. Like that wording was a real fuck up, in my opinion. Because that just got people worried about, like, oh, can we trust Ledger? Like, it was almost written in a really, really weird tone. And there was conflicting, obviously, reports from Ledger support, which obviously has a different social media manager to the Ledger account itself. And we also saw that Ledger actually deleted one of their threads that Ledger support wrote, saying that we deleted it because we didn't want people to continue to be confused and are replacing it with tweet threads which address all frequently asked questions and concerns in an understandable way. So basically, they responded to the backlash that Ledger could potentially extract your keys in the wrong manner, were very unclear about it, and then had to delete their tweets and reissue another statement, and even that statement had backlash. It was basically an entire shit show. I expect Ledger to lose a lot of market dominance now. A lot of people are looking for other wallets. I mean, personally, I'm diversified across Trezor and Ledger. I also have hot wallets if I'm doing active stuff. I have cold wallets. I'm pretty diversified. I'm even on some centralized exchanges. I think the key here is for the people that are worried about something like a Ledger is just to be diversified, right? Have your assets in different places. Don't have it all on one device, because there's some concerning things. I'm going to get into one really concerning thing in a second, which just gives me enough of a reason to stay away from being fully concentrated in Ledger, although, I don't think it's, a huge issue. So we can see here a joke being made about the new Ledger firmware update having a login to Facebook button. And look, it's very funny looking at something like this, but from Ledger's perspective, when your entire business is built on being secure, when your entire business is built on being safe, when you have jokes like this, it eats into the core of your business and actually degrades why your business exists. So that's why I expect them to lose market share. And we also see this got 6,000 likes. That's a lot of likes for a post on crypto Twitter to be getting, and it just shows how far this story spread. And in response to that, we started to see stories and opinions on Reddit actually started to be taken down. I don't know if this is because the users or the writers behind the post decided to take those stories down themselves, or whether the Ledger had actually contacted them and asked them to take it down. I'm not going to use the word threaten, but encouraged to take them down. I'm not sure, but it was weird because a lot of the concerns were basically given on Reddit, and a lot of them were then removed after the whole Ledger thing blew up. So it's basically a PR disaster. Now, after the entire disaster took place, Eric, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Eric L, I'm going to say, the co-founder and CEO of the company from 2014 to 2019, came out and responded. And I think this was the best response that gives us the most holistic view over what actually happened. So he says, "What a horrible mess. I'm devastated to come to this on a subreddit that I created 9 years ago to see images of Ledger devices burning, insults, and lots of anger. I'm honestly on the verge of tears. I've given so much to this company that it's impossible for me not to be highly emotional in this moment. So much anger, so much hate, so much insanity. My first step is to apologize as the co-founder about how this launch has been handled. I can't help but to wish this had been done differently. I don't have all the details, but for sure something went wrong and the Ledger Recover service was put in your face in the worst way possible. The hard truth, which has been confirmed by many experts who took the time to deep dive into the subject, is that nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing happened. The security model is the same than before you knew Ledger Recover existed. What changed is the perspective some of you had on the trustlessness, which appeared to be much more nuanced than you thought, and this is a very sensible subject. Many became extremely angered because they had felt lied to. Now, I understand this point of view, but it's important also to be reasonable, take a deep breath, and actually look at the facts. If you think that Ledger did a terrible thing by not being relentless enough on the security model and took a shortcut when expressing it, if you think that the time you bought the device, you would never have bought it if you had known this wasn't a fully trustless solution, then yes, I get your point of view. But if your only take is to jump on the hate bandwagon and yell, "There is a backdoor," when you don't have any understanding of what you're saying, then it's a free country. But at the end, the real victims will be the noobs who in panic will try and offload their crypto from Ledger, make stupid mistakes, and lose it all. Ledger is still safe. There is no backdoor. The Ledger Recover is not a conspiracy. No one will ever force anyone to ever use Recover. Remember, guys, it is an opt-in service at the end of the day, whether you want to give Ledger that access or not. The Recover code in the firmware is not a malicious code, nor does it open up an arbitrary way to extract the seed. If you trust the device to sign a transaction only when you press a button, then you can trust the device to compute a SSS shard of the seed only if you press a button. So he's basically saying nothing's changed. It's only if you opt in, and it was a huge PR disaster. And I completely agree with his opinion after doing my own research. That is the case. However, although I totally agree with that, there are a couple things that the new Ledger CEO, because remember Eric was the old CEO and founder, the new CEO said that got me a little bit concerned. So he basically said, I can't play the video right now, but in this video he says, the only concern relating to Ledger security is if we get subpoenaed by a government. So the Ledger co-founder, former CEO and former chairman, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗰𝗄, backed this up by saying, if you are a Recover user and you have your shard into a safeguard by third parties, then yes, a government could subpoena them and get access to your funds. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. Now, note, he says that's if you are a Recover user. So that's not if you're using the normal Ledger product. Ledger wouldn't be able to access your seed phrase to give money to the government. But if you're using Ledger Recover, the new service, then technically Ledger would have access to your wallet, which would enable the government to subpoena your wallet. Now, of course, this is a very rare instance that this would occur, and it wouldn't happen to the majority of users, but this is a concern, and it's one reason why I won't be opting in for Ledger Recover, just because it just seems like there's no sovereignty over your own funds. So make sure to keep sovereignty over your own funds. If you are using a Ledger, make sure to diversify. Don't opt into Ledger Recover. I mean, you can, but I personally wouldn't. It's totally up to you what you choose to do there. And also use a VPN. So I don't want to shield the VPN too much, but remember, link in the description for 61% off a VPN. That will keep you safe from hacks. That will also keep you safe when you are interacting with DeFi protocols online in terms of people being able to steal your IP, use it, commit IP fraud, etc. So make sure you are protected on that side as well. Link in the description to NordVPN. So now we've got those stories over the way. Hopefully I've kind of given you guys a more pragmatic look at what actually has happened with them. Then I want to discuss the crypto market. So I've actually been in Miami. You guys that follow me on Instagram, link in the description, Miles_Deutscher, have seen. We had a crazy week. It's probably why you've noticed my voice is a little bit raspy. Because we had many nights out and I was talking all day at the conference, doing interviews. It was a crazy week. It was non-stop and it was a lot of fun. It was great to connect people in real life. And anyone that's watching this that I met in real life, thank you so much for coming up and saying hi. It was crazy. I really felt your support. That's probably the most amount of interactions I've had with the fans. The Bybit fam basically owned the Bitcoin conference. It was super awesome to see. But now I'm in New York. I'm staying here for a few days before I go off to the F1 in Monaco. This is my first time in New York. I'm having a lot of fun. If you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments below. So this will just be a short market update. Actually got to go to dinner relatively soon. But I don't have much to update you on apart from a few key things that I spoke about a few days ago on my last stream. So just to repeat those things, so we're all in the loop. Bitcoin is currently hovering above a very key support level that is being established at 26.5. This is a key level, and the fact that we had a bullish wick, so we deviated but closed above on the daily, then had a higher low, and a higher low is a good sign for Bitcoin. That indicates to me we could see a short-term push up back to this red diagonal sloping channel at 27.6. Now at that level, Bitcoin will have a huge decision to make as to whether it wants to break above and start to reclaim the 29K level, huge trading opportunities in this range by the way, or whether it's simply going to make its fourth or third lower high, if you count that as a high, and actually reject off this level. So there could be a scenario where we reject again. A fourth rejection, I think, would be the devastating blow that sends Bitcoin under 26.6. Because usually the more times you test something, the more chance it has of breaking. But for the bulls, we're still holding. So basically the TLDR is, look, you can probably open trades around support here and set your stop below. But just be cognizant of the fact you're going to be pretty on the pulse to flip bearish here if we do break 26.5 and cut your positions pretty quick. So that's one trade, but remember, you might end up getting a decent short opportunity of the reaction of this line if we do get another lower high, or you also might get a long opportunity. So for me, trading is not about predicting what will happen. I can tell you the probabilities to the downside just based on the fact that we've had lower highs and this is technically a downward sloping channel, but we are at support. So we often do see bounces from support levels, and the reason why I think there could be bounces in the short term is because we've had 3 lower highs. But you can really stay reactive based on what the market gives you over the next few days. So you don't need to try and predict. You can trade solely based off the charts. Ethereum as well, also at a key support level. So it's at its range high. If we zoom back, this was the key level back in September 2022, also the level that we had broken through to cause that massive decline during the whole lunar collapse. It's a very key level for Ethereum, and we're currently on support. Ethereum, Bitcoin has dropped a little bit over the last few days. A lot of alts have puked their gains and gave it back to the market, unfortunately. But I did warn you guys about this a couple of weeks ago. You guys know I was pretty set on the fact there was going to be more downside when we were at 29 and we're now at 26.8. So look, I don't call the market right all the time. By no means, we've gotten a lot of things wrong, but this one we got right. And for that reason, I'm hoping if you're watching my shows, you weren't too exposed to alts. If you are, just know we are on support for Ethereum. Ethereum leading the alts. This is the one that I'm following at the moment. We could bounce off range high here. Actually, strong chance that we do. But what you don't want to see from Ethereum, and unfortunately, it could be the case, is another lower high. Because unfortunately, until you clear 2,000, this could just be a third lower high that Ethereum comes up, rejects again, and the pattern then will really be a self-fulfilling pattern that probably results in a break of the previous range high. It's now range high support. So that's what I'm looking at on Ethereum. So look, if you don't want to trade any Bitcoin or altcoins or ETH, etc., you can do so on Prime XBT. The reason why I have started using Prime XBT recently is because of the amount of pairs they have. So they have commodities, they have Forex, they have a bunch of crypto, they have Bitcoin, they have ETH, and also we're doing a huge deposit bonus at the moment, which is 20% of your capital value. For example, if you would like to deposit, let's say $1,000, you get $200 in your account. If you deposit $10,000, you get $2,000. And that's up to a maximum of $6,000. So if you deposit $25,000, you can get almost $6,000 worth of capital into your wallet, which is pretty good. I mean, I think it's the biggest percentage-wise deposit bonus we've ever done on the channel. Now, this is only limited to 100 users, right? I can already tell you that based on the last time I checked my statistics, 40 people had already claimed this. So there's only 60 people left that are going to get this deposit bonus of 20%. Otherwise, you'll just have the standard deposit bonus, which is a deposit bonus up to 7,000, but on a lower percentage multiple. So make sure you use that Miles20 code. There's a link in the description. If you click that link on Prime XBT, you can select the code Miles20, and then you can sign up for an account, and you get that nice bonus in your account. And remember, it's a pretty good exchange to trade on. You can see the interface here. It's a bit different from your Bybit or your BitGet. You need to get used to it. I'm going to do a tutorial soon on how it works, but it's basically the TLDR is just like a Forex exchange. So link in the description if you would like to sign up to that. Quick market update and outlook for the rest of the week. ConsenSys is the top leader alongside NEO. They are running ahead of the China-Hong Kong legalization narrative in 9 days' time. I told you guys a week ago to watch out for this narrative. We have had an altcoin drop off since then, but the strongest bounces have actually been the Chinese coins. So keep your eye on ConsenSys for long opportunities if the market does get a bounce here, and some of the other Chinese coins as well. You guys have my watch list if you've been watching the shows, and follow me on Twitter as well. In terms of other big market events for this week, it is actually one of the most boring weeks in a long time. This is the crypto calendar. Usually it's chockers, like usually it's full. But this week is one of the weeks where it just isn't full at all. It's just blank, 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 blank. And this is basically just due to the fact there's just not much macro news, not much crypto specific news either. So it's a blank crypto calendar, fairly dry. But from a macro perspective, there is going to be a bit of general market volatility that pertains to obviously the stock market and as an extension of that crypto. So we have key events this week. We have the new home sales data on Tuesday. Then we have Yellen speaking Wednesday, Fed meeting minutes on Wednesday. That is looking backwards. Q1 2023 GDP data on Thursday. This is huge. Thursday is the big day for macro, and then Friday's massive as well with the PCE inflation data. 5 Fed members speaking throughout the week. So quite a couple days now. And then I'm expecting volatility kicking in towards Thursday, Friday, which I think we need because Bitcoin been really hovering for the last 3 weeks in this range. And I know a lot of people are getting bored, but I think the Fed is really what people are waiting for. They're waiting for a big shift in the macro environment because that is what's going to give us the signal whether to go risk off or risk on in relation to stocks and crypto. So very, very key this week, Thursday and Friday. But in terms of crypto specific news, as you can see, there's really not much happening on the market right now. The narratives I would look at is AI, China. They're probably still the ones. Bitcoin, BRC20, and ordinals. They're probably the 3 narratives you want to look at the most and do your most research on at the moment because they are the hot ones. A lot of which, by the way, are going to be on a network like Gains. It's funny, before I was talking about centralization and the risk with MetaMasks and things like Ledger, but there's also a lot of risk, as we know, with using centralized exchanges, and that's not saying don't use them. I trade on Bybit, I trade on BitGet, I trade on Prime XBT, right? I trade on OKX. I do it, but I don't use all my funds there. I don't keep all my funds there. I do keep some on an exchange like G-Trade as well. So if you want to diversify a little bit and trade on-chain, and for some people it just makes sense for whatever reason to trade on-chain, whether that be tax, logistics, you probably just have money on your MetaMask, right? And you don't want to put it into a centralized exchange, you just want to trade it there, then you can do so on G-Trade. They have a lot of pairs as well, similar to Prime XBT, commodities, of course, they've got some stocks, crypto, a lot of stuff over there as well. So you can trade on there for low fees on Arbitrum if you would like to, and there's also a link in the description for that. So that is basically my market update today. A few narratives we're looking at, crypto prices, MetaMask, and the Ledger news. I will go enjoy my dinner in New York now, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another show. Peace out.